gone up by 3%. Now it was a 96.2% lockdown. Now it's 99.2% lockdown. As in, you can't travel within the state or leave your house at all. But for some reason, they've kept back 0.8% of freedom. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm not the guy who can actually translate this for you. But I'm told, following the advice from the Prime Minister, uh, we are not going to do a full lockdown ever. This is it. The whole situation is going to be the same. So you go nowhere, you do nothing. But remember, it's not a full lockdown. That peace of mind, that's important, because for me, the mental battle is always bigger than the physical battle. And now let's introduce Silverie and Amit Doshi to our, well, panel of
Hello.
discussion experts, because we can't afford anybody else. This is a good point. A shout out to anyone who wants to come on the show on a Thursday. We're looking for philosophers. If you think you have anything to contribute to society, if you hate and want to rant, this is the place to come to. All right, Amit, is that okay if we advertise like that?
Yeah, we should.
You
I
could
mean,
charge for the position also, maybe $1,000 to appear on the
uh,
show.
we have to pay 1,000 rupees to get somebody on. Okay, I guess.
Well, I no, I was
No,
hoping
Cyrus
they
meant
will
they'll
pay a
pay
thousand
us,
rupees.
yeah,
I
to be
Ah,
on
okay.
there.
I think I'm the
Okay.
Gujarati and you're the Parsi. I don't know how we really. It's all over the place. Our thinking, really, honestly. Why would you think like that? Have you not
uh,
done enough NGO work in your life? Enough, I
I
say. Yeah.
I
All
hear
right.
what you're saying. Yes.
Shall we? Before
No.
we get into the COVID thing, should we start with the sports news?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the fun part. Now,
Rattle the world.
yeah, let's talk about the IPL. No, sorry, just kidding.
So the
Well,
EP.
well, look at the look. Oh my God, look at this! Look at this connection. It is the IPL, which is gone into the brains of all these European clubs.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's absolutely the
What is that? What is
inspiration.
that? You take the cream of your talent and
Hmm.
remove everybody else. Make a tournament where the cream gets all the money and everybody around it makes all the money, and that's it. It kills
But
the rest of the people.
is it the cream or is it the biggest brands? Because Tottenham,
Yep. No, 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 no.
Arsenal,
They are
from
both. They are both. They are both. You're right. There's enough cream which will not make it because they don't have the hype.
huh,
So fair enough. Your point is fairly made. But the five clubs that are in are the five clubs that put bums on seats in from the
right?
EPL. Also, the two from Spain and the two from Italy. They're
Yep.
the ones
Yep,
that put bums on seats. So that's very clear.
yep.
Now, having said that, I think this has got a lot to do with the IPL model, which is being sort of slightly followed. So I don't think we're fully off the hook here.
No, no. So
Uh,
it's sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, no. So what happened is they come up with this Super League, European Super League as they called it, and it would kill. It would basically eat into all the other leagues, which is football in Europe. The EPL, the Serie A, the Spanish La Liga, Bundesliga
You're
they
talking
refused to
about
join.
it would eat in schedule wise, right? Like
Not
they
just
would.
schedule. Down the players who can't play every day, everywhere. You're paying them
That's
well
yeah.
enough, they'll start thinking, picking and choosing, right?
Hmm.
It's bound to happen, and
Also,
it
I
creates like
think
a Brahmanical class
yeah.
of
Oh,
of
the I
clubs.
think the bigger problem was that it was adding $300 million of revenue to each of these clubs per year, which the other clubs in the other
Will
leagues
not
would
get a
not be able to
not touch
touch.
it.
Now,
That
how are you supposed to compete with somebody who has an extra $300 million of revenue compared
Yeah,
to
so the
what
sour
you can make?
grapes was the one issue, but the other issue is the fan is saying you're screwing up our culture.
Yeah.
We've got this whole system of relegation and points, and the whole tradition will go out of the window because they'll start becoming less important and dwarfed, and maybe even the lesser clubs will just disappear because they'll have to
Mhm.
fight against these super clubs. So the romance of football is so the fans went berserk. And here's the point that we have to make here: democracy spoke. The people went berserk in 5 days. All the fans. Chelsea match was stopped by Chelsea fans saying, "You cannot do this."
Yeah.
Liverpool, Jurgen Klopp and the owner, I think John Henry or whatever his name is, actually apologized and said
Hmm.
he was fully responsible. Nobody else is. Manchester City, Manchester United all followed suit. They all bow to the power of the people. This reminds
Yeah.
me of a parallel in India when the farm laws came out and the people said, "No, we don't like these farm laws," and nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's democracy.
So the thing is, the way that European leagues are set up, right, with this idea that there is a movement of teams from league to league to league, depending on how good they are. That actually is like a really, really strong system, and I mean, like to kind of break that because if you what they were looking at, they were looking at the IPL. Yes, they were also looking at American sports leagues, right?
American
Where
sport is to blame. You don't get away, Amit. From there, the
oh,
IPL came in. So actually,
so
it's
both
it's
are
your NBA which has
it's both.
spoiled everything. To
It's
be
both. It's
honest,
both.
yeah.
The idea of closed leagues, right? Because what happens is that, and I think one of the big problems that you have in the NBA, right, is tanking. This idea that people will lose on purpose so that the following year they have a good draft pick, right? And that happens because it's this kind of closed league, right, where you basically you don't have like the worst thing that can happen to you is you suck, You can't be kicked into another league. You can't be pushed out of in any way. The worst thing that happens is just your team is
You can
bad.
reinvent yourself by losing purposely, basically.
Exactly, and that's a big problem that's there in the NBA right now, right? Where right now, out of the 30 teams, 8 teams are tanking, right? And so I mean, like, it always does become a year. It's a year. It's a problem. And then you have situations where teams like my favorite beloved 76ers were tanking for 3 years in a row. So it wasn't even like at the end of the season they're tanking. They had put on the
Man, why did I
plan.
get this job? You
What?
play a sport for a team and you just have to underperform. That's
No,
all.
but
I
that
mean,
wasn't
this is my dream
that
job.
that wasn't
Put
the
it
idea
out.
at all. The idea was to get a whole bunch of different players in to kind of see who can kind of work, because you never know with NBA players who are going to be good and who are going to be bad. And at the same time, you also are really, really bad. So you'll get one of the top one, two, three selections, which are where the best NBA players, the top superstars always come from. And you don't win in the NBA unless you have one or two superstars. So there was a logical idea
Yeah, but
behind
if you
why they
look
were
at the
tanking.
Ajuba formula, the
Hmm.
famous movie in the what is it, late 70s, early 80s, Shashi Kapoor, Amitabh Bachchan, whole galaxy of stars, and the film didn't
Hmm.
work. So
Yeah,
sometimes that also doesn't work. You can't just buy stars and expect them to work.
but you're not
Teams
right.
on
The
paper and teams in performance are never the same.
Which is why the LA Lakers suck, right? Because they always buy their way to wins. This is why
Oh,
which
now
is
that you
why,
mentioned that, can we segue? Because I
yeah.
watched this guy called DJ Buckley, and he tore into Michael Jordan versus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Amit Doshi, what do you have to say? And he
I
put it
don't know
out
what you're
there.
talking about.
So
What
there's
is
this
this?
guy called there's this prominent. Well, he talks about the black community and everything from
Okay.
music to DJ Buckley. He's a
Huh.
controversial figure. You can check him out. And there's a guy called Vlad who does a lot of interviews and podcasts with lots of different
Okay.
people. VLAD, and so they had a discussion on who was the greatest. And he just crashed Michael Jordan, and then he showed a whole blueprint of from the college basketball days all the way up to Chicago Bulls, etc.,
Mhm.
etc. LA Lakers versus and in every single statistic, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar number one. He didn't beat him once. Uh, Dribbles,
That's
rebounds, points. I was like,
that's
what? What?
Yeah, so Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest scorer who ever lived, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar also played for over 20 years. He played at a time when there was nobody who was close to his size. It was like he played in this. He started playing in the mid 60s, played up until the 80s. So I mean, like, it's a different.
According to DJ Buckley, he's not been given his due because he had a Muslim name and didn't have the kind of personality maybe that Michael Jordan did. And that Michael
Michael
Jordan,
Jordan
if
had
he
no
was
personality.
no, but it might no. Okay, fair enough. But Michael Jordan was not exactly part of the internet era, where perhaps
Huh.
he would not have been liked that much because he
Absolutely true.
wasn't that
Michael
forthcoming a
Jordan.
human being.
He
Yeah,
was Michael Jordan, like, hid his personality to a great degree. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is one of the great intellectual athletes of all
as it
time.
turned out. So then,
Like,
how
no,
dare
from
we
of
not put
all
him number
time.
one? Please
Well,
admit
because
it, Amit, on our show. Number
no,
one, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
he's not the best NBA player of all time.
Damn you!
Is he the
According to DJ
best?
Buckley, he is.
He
Is
had
he
the
the?
best. He had the best cameo in Airplane, the movie, though. If you guys
He
remember,
And in
did.
he was
Enter
the
the
epic.
Dragon, bro.
Enter the
Enter the
Dragon.
What are
Dragon,
you
of course, of course.
saying? Bruce
No,
Lee's
but Airplane
favorite?
is. I
Seven
love
foot
Airplane
four
so much,
versus
man.
Bruce Lee's 5'7".
That's true.
Bruce Lee
Yeah,
won.
Bruce Lee did
No,
it.
I love Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but he's not the best player of all time.
So you
I
don't
mean, like,
accept this
no, I don't. I think Michael Jordan is. You can have an argument between Michael Jordan
Magic
and
Johnson.
LeBron James for the
Ah,
best player of all time. These are your two candidates for best player of all
Kobe,
time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a
Kobe.
top five. I don't think as much of Kobe as a lot of other people do. I just don't. I mean, like, there are a whole bunch
Okay,
of, like, I
explain
mean,
the
like,
statistics. So your longevity experience.
oh,
Okay, in national, in the collegiate basketball era thing, where
right.
basically
it it
you
was
can't
less
spend more time.
competitive. It was less competitive, right? I mean, like, that's what that's one of the big differences. And when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was playing, the game was different. It was less competitive. The way that you played was different. The dominance of different teams was different, right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar played for UCLA in college. UCLA won like 10 championships in a row or some shit like that.
It's unbelievable. His record is unstoppable.
Yeah.
But let's put it out there for anybody who's on the live chat. By the end of this, we want to discuss this. All those in favor of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and say that Michael Jordan's gotten away with an overrating. This is the time to put your hand up. Support Amit or me, and let's find out the truth. Because Indians know their basketball. Hmm.
Mm. Yeah, I guess that is true.
Or we'll pick it up when we do a basketball special. Because I'm just trying to get under your skin, as you know. We need to
Um,
get people who
yeah,
really
but again,
follow.
Michael Jordan is not even my favorite player, right? If you were to ask me who my favorite player is,
Steph
it would.
Curry.
I think
Ritik
Steph Curry.
Roshan from Koi Mil Gaya.
That
He's
would
great.
probably be my third favorite player.
Okay.
But no, but yeah, Steph Curry, right? I mean, like, dude, he's going nuts right now, right? I mean, like, he's playing absolutely incredible, and he's so much fun to watch. So yeah, Steph Curry is one of my favorite players to watch. Dirk Nowitzki was one of my favorite players to watch. Chris Webber, one of my favorite players to watch.
What about Larry
I
Bird?
Larry
Brought
Bird,
White Lives
so
Matter.
I
Short, short.
actually Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, those two players are players I've not seen at all because I was in India at that time, right? And so I've seen highlights and stuff like that, but never saw them play per se, right? I mean, like, whereas everybody who's played from like 1990
No
onwards, I've
chance you've
seen
seen
them
Kareem
play.
Abdul-Jabbar in the flesh.
Oh, I've seen. I haven't seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the flesh, but I no, I actually have seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the flesh when I didn't know what I was doing. I was a very very tiny child when I saw him in
You
the
were
flesh.
never a tiny anything. What the
Well,
fuck
okay.
is that? You
I
stand
was.
exposed, my brother.
I was, I think I was 5 years old or something like that, and at that time I had gone to
There's a
see.
picture.
No, but I know that there we had gone to see three basketball games. The year before my father passed away, we had gone to see a bunch of different basketball games, and I know that one of them was Sixers Lakers, one of them was Sixers Bucks, and one of them was Sixers Knicks. So I know that I've seen Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but I don't remember it.
Silvery, I still have my New York Knicks sweater that I wore in 1994 when I went to an acting studio called,
Wow.
what the hell was it called? Anyway, so while I was there for 4 months, I wore that every day. And every day someone would have a basketball conversation with me. The only sport I never followed. I had a vague interest in baseball, so I started following that. But oh God, every day. And they would say things like, how were the Knicks last night? You're screwed after that. You should know what happened. And now it's like somebody says, so how was Chennai Super Kings yesterday? And you immediately are expected to go into, oh man, middle order really collapsed, whatever. You can't do that because I have no idea where to go. And they're being friendly. It's the one thing
But
Americans really bond on is sport.
so the
I mean,
good thing
with
about
strangers.
the good thing about the Knicks is you could just say the Knicks suck and you're okay
In
99% of the
94,
time.
do you remember? I think
No,
LA Lakers,
94 they
yeah.
were actually 94 they were actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got a lot
94
of
they were really
positive
good.
comments in New York. In New
Huh.
York Knicks. And yeah, so a lot of people thumbs up. You just wear the shirt, you get off the subway, and a guy goes thumbs up. So once your confidence level as a Desi, Silver, you must experience this in your life. Unfortunately, because of COVID, at this age, you must experience this. Go to a foreign country, and the difference between your first day and your 30th day, where you feel like a man. Firstly, you feel like a parasite and cowardly. Your body language, the accents, the people, they're big, intimidating. They stare at you sometimes, all that. And then by the 30th day, you're like the alpha because you just
You
got
really don't know what you're doing, right? When you first go to a
oh,
new country for the first time,
I
it
was so
is
intimidated.
it is yeah,
I
it's
couldn't pick
scary,
up
but
the
it's also
accent, Amit. I can't pick up yours sometimes because the Brooklyn accent, some of them are so harsh. They just you order a burger, and you know what they're really saying, and they say it in this very quick sort of style. So you're already feeling pressure. Like
so
you're holding me up. Yeah, can you tell me what you want? Yeah, sorry.
Uh, but
Yes.
I think food service is particularly problematic because you're right. They speak really fast and they have their own kind of, hey, give me this, give me this, give me this. I mean, like they do this
Yeah,
thing in a
and they can't.
different way.
It's like tennis. They're waiting for your return, and your return doesn't come. They're like, "What? Why? Why aren't you talking?" And you start urinating immediately.
Hmm.
But yeah, but I think there's a romantic side to that, Sylvie. If you ever, while you're still in your 20s, please go live away
I've
from
been
mommy, daddy
so I've
uh,
been to Anfield in Liverpool and at
for a
the
weekend.
Anfield the stadium. No, I was so my brother's a huge Liverpool nut, and we were
What are
in
you saying?
the UK, and so he wanted to really go and check out Anfield, the
So you
Liverpool
must have
stadium.
worn all the stuff.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah. So we bought like pullovers and
this is the
jackets of
Steven Gerrard
Liverpool.
generation, I
Yeah,
presume.
but so then I made the mistake of wearing that jacket and coming back to Manchester. Okay, and I was standing outside like a pub in Manchester, and some like dude, like cool dude, even comes up to me like, "Hey, what's with that jacket?" Huh? And I thought he's like picking a fight or something. So I eventually like, "Hey man, is this a jacket? I don't even follow football." I eventually like got scared, and the guy was like, "Dude, relax. I'm just kidding. Don't worry about it."
So my story in the 2017 Champions final is that Mikhail went to pee, my son, and he was wearing the India blues, and we were sitting with a mix of Indians and Pakistanis. We were all fine. He then while coming back, it's a big oval. Sari is a big ground. He took the wrong gate. Or 6 and 7 were together, whatever. We went the wrong way. Enters the other side, a little bit away from us. It's only green. We're waving to this one blue shirt. Say, come here, come here. And like, the Pakistani guys in London watching the cricket were the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. You wouldn't think India Pakistan had any problems. We all hung together. It was all fine. But for a minute, my heart sank. I was like, the fuck, the idiot walked straight into a bunch of greens with a wearing his, and I think it was a Tendulkar shirt. He's not even playing. Number 10.
Oh,
Yeah.
But that's actually a problem in a lot of sports, right? The idea of wearing an opposing team's thing and going into, like,
yeah.
their show, like,
Yeah.
when I was in I went to college in Philadelphia, right? I mean, like, and that's the area. So the college stadium, sorry, the Philadelphia Pro Football Stadium, the Veteran Stadium, they actually had a jail underneath the stadium. There was, because there were so many people arrested during the course of an Eagles game, because people
Oh,
are drunk off their mind. They're like harassing people. They're like, getting into fights and stuff like that. They had like a courthouse and a jail right underneath the stadium. So I mean, like, this kind of stuff is it's not unusual. So I mean, like, you were right to be scared, I think.
No, because you can't say for sure. So mostly nothing will happen. People are friendly and all that, but
yeah.
you never know. It just takes one or two drunken louds because you're outnumbered. What are you going to say? Oh, by wrong, mistake, wrong shirt. God, it's
Yeah,
terrible.
exactly.
Uh, but generally, in a culture which area of a stadium is for whom. Everybody knows that. Like
Hmm.
if you go to the famous Sydney bank where all the Sydney the slightly right wing Australians who make racist comments and all, they're there. But the rest
Okay.
of the lovely Australians on the other all the other parts where they'll be feed you and drink with you and everything. So but if you go in the wrong spot, so I just saw Mikhail for a minute, my heart sank, because
Uh,
Mikhail does these things. He'll just walk into the wrong place, and it's got my genes.
yes, he
And
does.
but they were lovely. They were great. And the moment you hear Punjabi accent in with the British twang, it makes me. I feel very safe with those people. I just think they're because they're all fucked up, inside brown, outside white, whatever that happens to you. Ki jana hai? It's all over the place. It's
But
lovely.
what do you think about how these guys just backed out of this so fast, right? Did they not anticipate the public backlash? All these
They
teams.
didn't. They didn't. They did. Perhaps they didn't, or they thought they'd be able to control it. But it became violent almost in just 48
Hmm.
hours with people thronging the roads. On the internet, they've been abusive, and I mean,
Yeah.
people are like you just imagine football fanatics, Man U fanatic. You're like destroying Man U the way he saw it growing up. You're destroying it because you're now creating a new Man U with superstar players playing in only one competition. Is slowly pull out of the EPL. What's the point of it? And
Yeah, but so that's the
it's just
question.
not
But
going to happen.
were they to pull out of the EPL, and were they to pull out of Champions League and all of that, or was this additional, or
Nothing.
was
As of
this?
now, it was all everything will live side by side. No, no, but people can see the future now.
Hmm.
There's already too much football. You're going to now cram another high quality competition with the 12 top clubs, and you're going to there's going to be a consequence of that. There
Hmm.
is. And
But
also, like you said, they have this tradition in place. The EPL, the La Liga, the Serie A, they've got it all there.
hmm,
You are playing with that tradition, and you're screwing it. This our cricket has done the same thing, but surreptitiously managed to do it. One day cricket is almost dead, thanks to
hmm,
this IPL league, which
true.
then mushroomed into other leagues across the world, cricketing world. And one day cricket has been a huge consequence of that. Its relevance is being questioned. So unless you have a World Cup 50 over format or a mini World Cup or some relevance to it, there's no point really playing one day
But
cricket.
I
Nobody's
would,
watching it. It's getting no.
but I
Test cricket, of course, still has the quality viewer.
so I would honestly, I would agree with that. I don't think one day cricket has relevance in today's world, right? Because I mean, like, it's a
It's the
full day.
famous. Every action has an equal and opposite. No, no, it's like the vaccine. There are side effects. Every action will have a equal and opposite reaction. It's just science. You can't go this way without something going that way. That's the way it works.
But
So
so here's the question.
I
Like,
think this is a
see,
very. It's almost like religion for Europeans.
hmm,
Football is literally religion.
so here would be my
I'm
question.
just saying it is a
Hmm.
religion.
No, I agree. I get that, right? But here would be my question to you, right? Like, unlike the BCCI, right? The FIFA is known to be a corrupt organization, right? Where there are problems with corruption over there. So, in that context, do you think that teams should be looking out for themselves in some ways, right? Because why, if you are Manchester United or you're Arsenal or you're what have you, would you think that you're subsidizing or you're not maximizing your
It's the
revenues because
same
you're
reason
dealing
why
with a corrupt
Britain
world?
pulled out of Britain pulled out of the euro thing. Why? Because I'm the big dog here. Why do I have to carry small dogs with me? I'm getting nothing out of this. So the bigger clubs, they like the idea because they're thinking, yeah, why not? Elite clubs, we make this sport. We don't really need the guys below. Why? you start thinking like that, without being racist or prejudiced or whatever, there's a little logic to it. You take the top 10 basketball teams in the NBA, you create a league which has high quality of the top 10. In that, you remove the best players from the other 20 teams also. So you're
Right.
giving me now la creme of the entire lot. And you're putting them all
Yeah.
together in this high. I mean, it could, it one way, great sport should happen. Another way, you're going to kill off a lot of people and a lot of old traditions, and a lot of teams just disappear.
Yeah, but again, tradition in for the sake of tradition is not really why something should be there, right?
World
I see.
changes. I agree with
I,
you.
I think it's logical. I like the way that the European football setup is, right? But I'm just trying to think of it from the perspective of those clubs, and I think that there's some interesting arguments for why they're
Also,
trying to do what they're
why will
doing.
you not play devil's advocate? Go with your thought. Why not try and reinvent the wheel sometimes?
Hmm.
Just because things are doesn't mean it can't be better. The
Right.
only point is, and this is a capitalist thought at its best, you cannot make it better for everyone. You just can't.
Mm.
I think when
Yeah,
you try to
true.
do that, it's madness.
Mm.
Whether you invent the computer and the repercussions of that, there are some members of society who will not benefit from that, no matter what people say. So
Creative destruction.
yeah, so now I don't know what is the right answer, because I can understand the quality being raised by the creme playing. Just think of it in the NBA, think of it in cricket, think of it in
Yeah.
baseball. Take the top 50 players and make them play. They're really top 50. You've taken away all the middle of the line mediocre players.
Mm.
And you should have another level of, and the crazy fanatic would be like, my God, I mean, I'm only going to watch Mohamed Salah versus Ronaldo. I'm going to have like the best of the best.
Yeah, no, definitely you don't want to create a two-class system over there, right? Because again, then if you have this where you have, and I agree that this is a bad idea. I don't think that they should do this and all of that, right? But I'm just when you think of it, when you kind of think of it from the perspective of the club, also, right? If I am Manchester United or I am Arsenal, which was the big club that was in danger of being relegated this year or last year? Like one of the really big clubs
Man
was
U
in
had a
there.
bad year last year.
Yeah, they were like in
Um,
danger of being relegated, right? And I mean, like, so if you're one of those kinds of clubs where you bring in this kind of revenue, I can see why you would be incentivized towards the idea of, hey, let me protect myself in this, right? Let's make it so that we can't be relegated out of this, and
yeah.
so that my revenue streams are continuing.
Yeah,
So
you are now the gods. You're the gods of football forever,
yeah,
and you may be the 10th out of 10, but you'll stay there. You're right.
you'll stay there
It's a fixed
exactly.
fixed income in that
Yeah.
sense. So ask Silvery, because he is the generation of Indian males who are crazy about European football.
Mm.
So let's ask him for a second.
Is
Especially
he?
like your brother was a Liverpool nutcase, like my
Yeah.
son is. So because my son said no immediately. My mom asked him, "What do you think of this?" He said, "It's never going to happen. We'll never allow it to happen." He became like because, like I said, it's religion for football fanatics.
Yeah.
Apparently, Arsenal was the team last year when I is
Arsenal,
sending
okay.
us a message. Also, last year
Arsenal.
Arsenal was in danger of being relegated.
Yeah, they worked their arsenal off and they're back now. Sylvie, quick take. We've spent too much time talking about this. Quick
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
on it. No, as a football lover from the generation that matters, what would you go for the European Super League?
So no, like I'm not really a fan of football much. My brother would have a better take on this, but I think
What
that
did he say? You must have spoken about it.
no, I didn't. I just found out about it last night while researching for this episode.
You
While
don't talk to your
researching.
brother?
I mean, I don't talk to him about football. I'm literally not that interested. But of course, it makes sense that if other teams are going to die out, you shouldn't be doing this. If only the top
Now you
uh,
distracted
top
me. It's a
players.
sad commentary on sibling relationships. That one brother will not speak to the other brother. It reminds me of Diwar, Shashi Kapoor and Amitabh Bachchan
Yeah,
under a bridge, which
because uske
I
paas football hai, so I can't handle it.
नहीं उसको
Yeah,
EPL है
yeah, exactly. I
मेरे
don't want
पास
that.
Super League है
Yeah,
yeah
exactly.
God. I think that has been the most, that scene and this Gabbar Singh scene in Sholay for my generation of people, most done to death and should be banned for 20 years. I've done
Yeah,
two ads where we spoofed it. Two
I,
ads.
I remember a
One
Before
was a
You
chewing gum ad.
movies
I can't
ad.
remember the second.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
a very famous Before You movies ad. You know the channel Before You movies?
of course.
Mhm, yeah.
Yeah, so Before You movies used to have an ad where used to be this scene, like a recreation of this Diwar scene, and Amitabh Bachchan's character is telling Shashi Kapoor's Shami Kapoor's character कि मेरे पास ये है वो है गाड़ी है
Shashi, huh?
बंगला है blah blah blah. Yeah, Shashi Kapoor गाड़ी है बंगला है ये वो and a long list of things.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and तुम्हारे पास क्या है? And Shami Kapoor, sorry, Shashi Kapoor just turns around like, could you repeat the
No,
question?
that's MTV. That's
It's
ours.
MTV? Oh shit, I
How
thought it
dare you
was.
say before you?
Oh, I'm
That's one
sorry.
of our favorite promos. It won awards and all,
Yeah,
Baba. How dare you
I
say
love
that?
that promo.
He
That's what.
shakes his ear and
It was
everybody's like, can you repeat the question?
the question. Yeah, oh, it was MTV. Oh, I love
Superb,
that. I
man.
love that.
As
Sorry, sorry.
MTV when MTV was fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Uh,
and then subsequently they make Shashi Kapoor look a little, girlish, and
yeah.
it's not like that at all. If you actually, it's a beautifully shot scene for the time, and Amitabh Bachchan at his finest, and they've got
yeah,
that
it's a
chemistry. So it's very
ridiculously well
emotional
shot
moment.
scene.
No, and Amit, as a young boy watching it, I love Diwar, to be honest, and I
Yeah.
love that scene. I love their performance, and I'm a big Shashi fan as well. And then it goes on and on, and he starts becoming more girlish. He's doing this, he's looking there, he's touching himself, he's touching there, he's touching
We're losing, right?
Cyrus, yeah,
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 I
yeah. Cyrus, we're losing you. Just one minute. One second. Can you just pause for a second, Cyrus?
while talking. They just
well, I mean, like he doesn't need to pause. I'm sure. Hopefully, Zoom will just pick it up back.
killed it. It was a very powerful. Are you back?
Are you? Yeah,
Yeah,
we're back. We're back. We're
All
back.
good?
yeah, yeah, yeah. All
All
good
good.
now. Yeah,
We're back.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
spoke for half an hour without knowing you
I
weren't
know
there.
about you.
Sorry.
Yeah, you were
yeah,
talking. You were giving. We lost the amazing
I thought
monologue of Cyrus talking about the Hindi film industry
no,
and
and
Diwar. His love
no.
for
Listen to me.
Diwar.
Listen to me. I thought you guys were so touched by my, monologue that you took a minute. It's like some great statesman died, and you just don't know how to react. So you all just all. I was like, wow. Now I've come back to earth again, realizing
Uh,
technology froze you, not my philosophy. But yeah, just the last word on that. So I just think it's a fabulous scene, and Sholay also done to death. What a lovely film for me, for my generation. Maybe not for the next. I can't say for sure, but
did you ever think you would be one of those people who was like, movies in my time, man, they were so much better than the movies these days?
no, I don't think
I
I don't think like that actually, Amit. I just feel I don't like remakes done of some certain classics. That I don't. I
no, so
just
I don't
feel
like remakes either at all.
um it's tough. There are some films which the remake is better and all that, but I just think there's some films where they're just the way they are. You
Mm.
maybe it's nostalgia, but I just don't. But then again, they're trying to reach a generation which is not you and me, right? Who've not seen Sholay one. I don't give a damn. So the whole perspective is different. So I don't know.
have
Well,
you
I
guys
mean,
heard
like
Hollywood
of?
is Hollywood
the
has done
Sholay
worse.
the Sholay remake was awful, dude. The Sholay remake
Yeah,
was
No,
like
the Aag, no,
terrible.
oh,
Huh?
the Ram
The
Gopal
Ram
Varma ki
Gopal
Aag.
Varma,
no,
yeah.
it was a
It,
criminal act of criminality. There's no
yeah,
question.
it
Yeah.
destroyed. I feel like it turned Ram Gopal's career, Verma's career, into something else altogether. Because before
Yeah,
that, he was something else than compared to what he is right now, right? I mean, like it
yeah,
just was a that
and
was
and
just
the
bad.
coolness of these two male leads in
Mm,
that performance is it's just you can't. It's an intangible product. You can't just
it
get
is.
it because that's what the whole thing is about. Why would you believe the lyrics of the song? They would not make sense. It's so melodramatic.
Yeah,
Anna Gina
nobody.
Saath Man, I mean, it doesn't make sense. But you actually buy it. If you
Yeah,
can buy it, then there's something powerful about a film. It's like
well,
Shakespeare. So it's
it's.
ridiculous sometimes, but when you buy it, you really buy it.
Do you think that I mean, like they talk about in movies, right? I mean, like for movies to really work, you need suspension of disbelief,
Of
right?
course,
Do you think that
any
that's
art.
yeah, but I mean, like, do you think that suspension of disbelief thing was? Do you think that's age driven to an extent?
No, no,
Do
no.
you think that you find it
it's
harder
it's a
to
connect
suspend
it's a connect
disbelief?
between the artist's art and you,
Hmm.
where you happily have a suspension of disbelief. It can't be a conscious effort that please suspend your disbelief, because
Hmm.
if it doesn't get to you, then there's no question. You don't empathize with the product and you don't identify with it, and there's no question of disbelief.
Yeah,
But
I.
he has to
Uh,
he has to be able to communicate with you in a way where you say, okay, fine, I'm okay with this. Eh,
so yeah, I'll tell you why. I was thinking about this a little bit, right? Like, Bollywood movies just generally, Hindi movies at large, right? Unless like, except for like, the very best of them, and the very best of them are excellent, right? But most of them just generally don't work for me in many ways. But then I think about the movies from the 70s and 80s, specifically the Amitabh Bachchan movies. And for whatever reason, those movies always work for me no matter how ridiculous the
you've
stuff is.
answered the question. There's just whatever people say. I think it's going to be very difficult. It's just going to be very difficult to find someone with a bigger hold on the population than he did between 77, 78, and 84, 85, 8 to 10 years of Amitabh Bachchan. All the honest truth is we only went to the movie if we always checked whose movie it was. I mean, you
Yeah,
look at all the other heroes. There was like a chasm which was huge.
it was
And these
you.
are
It
big
was
names that followed him and were before him, and he just wiped everybody out. And that
yeah.
was him. Th-
No,
That's
but
the hold he had on us.
is it just him, or was it
It is him.
because
It is
no,
largely
no,
him.
is it our fandom that allowed us to kind of enjoy movies in a way which, like, I don't enjoy
So what you're
unless
saying is,
like
was it a more romantic era in the sense where you'd allow the suspension of disbelief to happen because
um,
it's a more rough around the edges era now? and you
Yeah, and
probably say
also
what
I think
nonsense.
the attraction to Amitabh Bachchan, right? I mean, like the thing that we are like, that the awe that you had towards that one particular actor allowed that suspension of disbelief to be a little easier than I find a bad Shah Rukh movie or a bad Amir Khan movie or a bad, well, not that
True.
Amir does
And
that many
you
bad
just
movies, but
take
I
scenes
can't do it.
in Amarkwa Anthony where he's talking to himself about after being drunk and
Yeah,
injured and all that. No other actor could pull that off.
I
It's
would
inane. It's
I would
juvenile. He's
exactly.
drunk and he's talking to himself about कितना बार मारा, एक बार मारा, मगर solid mara. But he had that ability for your suspension of disbelief. There you go, and you're in the scene with him. But
Yeah,
I give it to another actor at another time, and what is this nonsense? It's just
exactly.
juvenile. But he made
Exactly.
the juvenile come alive.
I will like the movie Naseeb, right, where he is a
Oh,
professional
what
waiter
a
by
movie.
day, a
Super.
professional fighter by night,
Yeah,
a
super.
full-time
Johnny,
philosopher,
Johnny.
and his and all the Bollywood stars love the waiter who is serving them. It's just like
And they
it's
treat him
such an
like one of them.
yeah.
And the irony, of course, that he serves them, but he's the god of all of them in reality. In that song, John Jani Janardhan, which you're talking about, I
Yeah,
mean, that was I can't believe they accepted to do it. All the other actors,
uh-huh.
because it's like actually the reverse. He's
It is,
serving
yeah.
them, but they're actually showing, come to kiss the ring sort of thing.
Right.
While he's that, because
I
that's
think
Amitabh at his best.
I think there's a big not controversy, but like some misunderstanding around that the Rajesh Khanna appearance in that
Correct,
particular thing, right?
correct.
It turned
Yeah,
into
you're
like it
right.
was a thing.
A little fight
Uh,
happened, and
yeah.
because the Bhau factor, etc., and all that. But that's all. See, all said and done, it's a mixture of all these things. Can't say anything. But the word phenomenon was attributed to him, and I don't think there will be one in the history of Hindi film. For me personally, there will never be. There may be actors who are considered better and all that, and performance better, but there'll be no. Pearl
That,
Padamsi told me this. She said Nasir is an actor, Amitabh is a performer, and the difference between actor
mm,
and performer is the performer gets the cult following. And there has been
that
no performer like Amitabh Bachchan at the
I
end of
would
the
agree
day.
with that. I
And
would agree with that.
for your generation, my generation, we cannot deny the fact that he was God and everybody else was on the ground floor. And these were good actors with great following before and after.
Yeah, Vinod Khanna,
Let's not take names and all
Rajesh
because I
Khanna,
liked
all
all
of
these
them. No,
guys,
they're
but
all great. They were all great, but
I
they
mean
were
they
not
beat him
the same.
up. Vinod Khanna
Yeah.
beats him up in Akbar Anthony,
Yeah.
and Amitabh walks away with the
Yes.
film. Who gets beaten
Yes.
up and walk? I mean, who'd allow that? I mean, in Lavaris he's playing a eunuch. I mean,
Yeah.
and he walks away with everything. Who can get away with that? The guy was special. You
Yeah.
can't deny him that. Whatever people say about him, whatever about his personal life and this and that, there's that certain, and it's a connect. It's a again, it's a. Can't, I
Yeah.
wish I could tell you this is the way to do it.
Yeah, I know. Antriksh, did you guys have? I mean, like again, as much
His
younger. I mean,
parents,
like
his
his
parents
parents would for
are
sure.
closer
But I
to
mean,
us.
like,
Yeah.
was there any sense of Amitabh movie being
No,
special when you were growing
I
up at
mean,
all? Or
it was
how?
definitely a movie that we would go out to watch, but not
uh,
specifically कि अरे इसमें अमिताभ बच्चन है तो जाके देखने का.
mm,
It wasn't
How?
like that.
Silver, you're 24,
28, 28.
28.
Yeah.
So 15, 16 years ago, there's
I mean,
only
you're looking at the older
yeah, I
lines
had
were
Mahabharats and
working
the
as
stuff
a
like
character
that.
actor in those
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
We're talking about up to Lal Badshah, whatever. Then he took the break. Ganga Jamuna Saraswati, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
Yeah.
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 So up to that, and those weren't great films. You were not there in the 80s. You have not no disrespect to you, but everybody would check Amitabh Bachchan ka film hai, and then they go like Ram,
Yeah.
Balram, Lavaris, Namak Halal, Kun, Kala Patthar. There's so many, one after another. Nastik.
I was looking through his IMDb at one point in time, and there was not a single movie which is like, oh wow, this is great, this is great, this is great, this is great. He had one movie which had like a super hit song, but was famously not that pop. That didn't do well, right? I think it was called Iman Dharam or something like that. It was the only movie in his entire kind of IMDb from Zanjeer to Tufan, which you were like, hey, okay. Everything else was just like, oh my god, he's just like every single movie was just out of the park.
And you'll remember anecdotes and all. Many films will just go above your head, but almost each one of them has moments that you recall. Anyway, I think we better take a break. Mr. Bachchan is on
Yes.
the
Yeah, let's
line.
go.
Cyrus, you've been Tarif. Thank you very much. I really appreciate all your kind words. And don't ever mention me again. It'll be
Oh,
$1,000 per
uh,
second.
since we have a new credit ad.
Oh, we have new credit. What fun.
Yes.
And I have my glasses also, so don't worry. Oh, there's no credit.
Sorry, sorry,
There's no
just checking.
credit.
Just checking.
Okay.
Sorry, this is the
So
time.
this is live for the first time. Advertising is behind the show. We're waiting for the ad to
Shit,
come
I'm
in
so sorry.
so we can
I'm so
present it.
sorry. This is my bad.
Never before in the history of television, radio, or podcast has this happened.
Have you had to wait for advertising? No, advertising always shows up.
I want to find two basketball lovers and put them against Amit, and I want to hear this discussion because it's just like cricket or anything else.
Mm.
This infantile fight over who's the greatest. I love those.
Oh
Because who's the
yeah,
greatest? You don't have to really be involved in the sport or the art. You just like the idea. It becomes like a contest. You
sure.
just like the
So you,
idea.
but the thing is, I wouldn't be that great with it because let's do the ad and then let's come back to the show, right?
Yeah.
Yep, just
Wait, ad is
sorry.
not come. Oh, no, I'm just
Oh,
saying.
okay.
I'm just saying that. See, you have a like we discussed Amitabh here. Now you and I
Uh,
will swear and die by the sword over it, right? But you can't
right.
really sell it to a '90s kid. I mean, Silvery, the parents had that thing. They want to watch a Amitabh Bachchan film. It came on
Hmm.
TV when people would watch TV together. Makes sense, whatever. But I can't sell it to him. I can't sell it to my
I
son. My son has no idea. Yeah, really. They know who
Yep.
he
but I,
is because he
yeah,
survived with all these things and all.
but
But
but what I wonder is that if we make them kind of like I mean Star Wars, Indiana Jones, these are movies that people watch
But
today
my
as
daughter,
well.
huge Star Wars fan, but not so much of the old Luke Skywalker, the 180s that we were. This whole
Huh.
Phantom Menace and all that came later. So
Oh
that,
wow, really?
But the
yeah, so
prequels, the
that
prequel movies are very
replaced
bad.
the iconic George Lucas, Steven
Yeah.
Spielberg. uh, what to do, man? Maybe we should,
Yep.
like
Whatever.
you said, you began by saying don't talk about these, people who want to discuss their generation was better at this and
Yeah,
everything was
no, but
better.
we are that, I guess. I mean, like we have
Let's
become
not
that.
be
I guess
that.
that's
Let's
the
no, no, God.
conclusion, man.
We're that. Then we have to be retired. We have to be put into the pastor. A shot to the
हमारे
back of the head.
जमाने में ऐसा
Ah,
होता
no,
था.
no, 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 no. God, no. I always told myself as I age, don't become that guy. The world changes. Stay up with it. You can always have your favorites. Come, shall we go to the ad?
Yes,
Yes.
let's do the ad.
And I hope I've got the right one. Is
Yeah.
it the habit coach?
No, no. The
The
Cyrus
whole
says.
thing. Okay.
It's only
And
Cyrus says.
अब पेश करते हैं ad. This IPL season, just pay your credit card bills on the Cred app and you could win some epic prizes. It's the Cred Daily Jackpot, and a daily mystery reward is unveiled on the app every 13th over of the first innings of the match. Prizes include a Samsung Frame TV, a pair of Sennheiser wireless earphones, or 5 years worth of Gillette Shave Care, which I need to immediately indulge in. Okay, of course, the joke being my wife has no excuse for keeping the goddamn beard anymore, but if I dare say it twice in 2 days, he won't see me again. Uh, the habit coach. This IPL season, you stand a chance
No,
to
no, no.
win.
No, it's not habit coach. It's Cyrus
Yeah,
says,
we
no?
can just the Cyrus says. The Cyrus says.
Okay, so on Cyrus
Done.
says this IPL season, any
Jesus.
ordinarily
Come
intelligent person
on, guys.
wouldn't have made this mistake, but I did. I just want to point it
Well,
out.
no, but it's not your fault, right?
It
We
is.
should make sure that you get the script correctly.
No, no,
No,
no,
no.
no,
I
no, no.
just yeah. Sorry,
I've
my
been
bad.
in the
I just
business since 1985. You got my first play. Okay, surely from 1985 you know what your show is, and hence you should. It's really no. I mean, how can you excuse that? I mean, talk about too old in our generation clinging to the
That is
past and all that. I
true.
mean, come on, you can't blame the kid. Any joker would be like, "Oh, that's not my show." Anyway, so this IPL season, you stand a chance to win some incredible prizes with the Cred Daily Jackpot. Just pay your credit card bills on Cred, and you could win items like some kick-ass Sennheiser wireless earbuds. I've said it so many times, I should get a pair. Or a Puma shopping spree worth 10,000 rupees. Oh, there's more. Oh, wow. A One Plus TV as well. A One Plus TV is something I'm going to put this down because I want all this. A daily mystery reward is revealed every 13th over of the innings, of the first innings of the match. That is, tons of cool prizes follow, so don't miss out. Just download Cred. Ah,
that's it. That's
done. One
Done.
take, six mistakes, one take. Now, have we finished our break or we are going
Yeah,
into it?
Yep.
we should go back into the show now.
Yeah, we're back into the show, right?
So we
Uh,
have a few topics that we should get to
does
before
anyone
we get to
answer
the
my
news.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Jabbar versus
This is funny.
No,
Prashant Rao has a comment. Cyrus doing cred ad Malabar Hill ka gunda hu main.
Malael ka gunda hu main. But then the next one on Kumar Sanu was also quite nice.
It
But
yeah,
I,
it
was.
was.
but the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is that that genius of Rahul Dravid, Mr. Calm, Mr. Cool, collected the wall, etc., going berserk. He seemed to. I read an interview that he did afterwards, saying that he was so uncomfortable because it's just so unlike him.
No, but
Stepping out of your comfort zone. That's what life is all about. Yeah.
hmm.
Sorry.
Yes. Sorry, you were asking about
No,
Kareem
I just
Abdul-Jabbar.
want to know somebody's. I want a third. I want some opinions there, just to because
Dude,
what.
but listen, the opinions on this are fairly hardened, right? I mean, like, it's Jordan, LeBron 1 and 2, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Will Chamberlain as between 3 and 4 to be decided.
So then, what you're saying is the past doesn't exist. frankly speaking.
No,
But
because it's just it's a more competitive game. It's a tougher game.
but
They're
the
more versatile
person
players.
who is answering this question must be able to talk eloquently about both these players. If it's a
Okay,
one-on-one between two, let's not mention five here. Okay, they can't just say that I'm a big Michael Jordan fan and I know what age he had his diaper changed, and then know nothing about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Forget Bruce Lee movies and comedy films, etc. So I'm saying I want an educated guess from a person who's seen. Like you have to look at
yeah,
Amitabh, or if you go to Amitabh versus Vinod Khanna, you got to see both their careers, and then you can't
correct.
just it's not right.
That is true.
Silvery, you don't like basketball. You can't remember Amitabh.
I
You
mean,
don't.
Amitabh, I've seen
You
a lot of Amitabh's movies,
you know
but
what a
not the
kinetic
ones
Honda
back.
was? Do you know what a kinetic Honda
Yeah, of
was?
course.
The
It's a
first
scooter.
gearless
It's
scooter.
a scooter. Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
great.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Should
Maruti
we get
800
to
maybe.
should we
Do
get
you
to a
know
couple of
that
news
Mumbai
topics?
was called Bombay?
No, what? Never.
Bombay मेरे
वो
हैं.
कुछ भी.
Chuck. Bolo.
Yeah, should
Sorry.
we get to a
Yeah.
few.
Please.
Yeah. So firstly, we had talked about it when it had happened, the George Floyd case. The cop
Yeah.
who was in the George Floyd case, Derek Chauvin,
Yeah.
yesterday, he got pronounced guilty. Basically, he got held guilty of all three charges, which was second degree
It's second degree murder. Huh?
unintentional
Yeah.
murder,
It's not first
third
degree.
degree murder, and second degree manslaughter. All
Yeah.
three
So
charges he got found
so
guilty.
remember the big distinction between first degree murder, which is intent to commit murder from before, is
Yeah,
not there,
yeah,
which
that
is
is
the
not there.
worst.
Correct.
Yeah. So this
Yeah,
is all this is a murder that happens on the spot in a sense. So
and
you yeah.
the
No,
other three
no,
cops
no, no.
also.
First degree murder in Minnesota is a little different. It comes in only. I know this because I read a lot of books by an author named John Sanford, who writes in Minnesota crime novels, basically.
He
And
watched a
first
lot of
degree,
Law and Order also, Amit. So
well,
I'm
no,
sure
but
you know
that's New
about that.
York. That's New York, so
Oh,
different
that's New
laws.
York. Okay, okay.
But
This is
there are three, four of
This.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but this is Minnesota. So Minnesota first degree murder only comes is if you pay somebody or if you are paid to make a murder, or if you
A
are lying
cold-blooded planned murder, basically.
basically a cold-blooded planned murder, or if you're lying in wait. Yeah, exactly. So you have to be lying in wait, or if you are this, right? Those are two circumstances in which you have first-degree murder in Minnesota, as far as I remember.
But as
From
sentences go, you didn't get away from the worst one immediately, and you
huh.
go into the
No, you
next bracket.
even at second degree, because
Yeah,
again in
he's
Minnesota, again this is my memory from the book and not from any news articles. But I've read like this author has written 30 books and I've read them all. And in that, if I remember, in Minnesota, the maximum sentence is 30 years. You can't get more than 30 years no matter what, which is I think what this guy got.
yeah.
God, so did you call up the author and say, "Where's 31?"
No, no, it's just he's a crime novelist who writes in Minnesota, right? I mean, like he writes about the
The
Minneapolis
podcast,
Police Department.
I actually started knowing more about you and Silvery than I know about my own family sometimes. Because after 1 hour of talking, so many revelations. For example, now we know that you're a buff when it comes to crime novels. So third or fourth time you mentioned it. And 30
No.
out of 30, I mean, who does that? I was a big Tarzan fan. I've read most of Edgar Rice Burroughs' books, but I'm trying to think whether
Well,
I read every single one. It's
I've
tough.
read all of John Sanford's books, which are basically the Prey series and the Virgil Flower series. I've read all of Michael Connelly's book, which is all of the Bosch series up until the last 3 years. I haven't read any of his new ones in the last 3 years, but up until that, I read all of his. I've read all of Lee Child's Reacher novels up until the last 3 years.
Jack Reacher.
Wow.
Jack Reacher.
I've seen the movies, yaar. Does that
Yeah.
count?
No, well, no, because Tom Cruise is not Jack Reacher.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's probably a more hardy looking guy, no? A
Jack
more
Reacher is 6'5"
down.
in the books.
Oh, is he? And
Yeah,
Tom
he's like
Cruise
a
is 5'7",
giant,
if any.
if
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, so it just does
Wow.
not work. Jack Reacher is Tom Cruise's Jack Reacher
Think
does
of
not work.
all the 6'5" actors, like Danny Glover. I was
So they're
thinking, what the
doing a new
hell?
one, right? They have a new Jack Reacher movie or TV show or something coming
Hmm.
up,
Hmm.
and they have somebody who's like the
Who looks
who
closer to
personifies
the
that giant.
possible?
But he's supposed to be a giant, right? I mean, that's a big
Yeah,
part of the way that he interacts with the
yeah.
world and what the character's appeal is. Like he's like this physical giant
It's like a
who's
superhero. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's a superhero without superpowers, right?
right.
And but so Tom Cruise just really he does a decent enough job, but I mean, like it doesn't work
Yeah, no, it's
as
totally. But
Jack
the
Reacher.
body language is different. I get it
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Silvery,
Yeah.
you finished the thing, so the sentence hasn't been passed.
Yeah. So and the sentence is still to come, but he's looking to face up to 30
Life.
years in prison.
Yeah.
Second thing is also the other three cops who were around when
Hmm.
this guy was whatever bending over
Yeah,
George
yeah, yeah,
Floyd.
yeah.
They also are charged with aiding and abetting murder in the second degree.
What will they
So
get?
I'm not sure about that,
Will
but
they get jail?
and they will get some time.
Just get
They'll
They'll
get
have
dismissed.
to,
jailed for sure. For sure, they'll
yeah,
get
aiding and
jailed.
abetting murder. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure they'll get jailed.
And didn't one of them try to stop him at some point?
I think I don't.
I
One of them
don't
tried
think
to
so.
restrain him. He's not breathing. This, that, and the other.
I don't think so. I
I
think
remember
I
the
know the
girl who was
crowd.
taking the
The crowd.
video.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the crowd exactly. They were like, "He can't breathe. Stop,
Yeah.
man, stop."
No, no,
Yeah.
more than
Filming
that,
it.
they were vociferous. They were like, "What's wrong with you? He's going to
Yeah,
die," and all
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
They've captured everything on each other's cameras and
Hmm.
etc. This is the problem with today. Guys, if you're committing a crime, it's very hard in a public area, please, because people have their phones out and nothing else to do.
No,
So
but
wear
this
your
cop
mask
clearly thought he would
and
get away with it,
sanitize your
right?
hands before
That's
any
why.
crime. Sorry.
This cop clearly thought that he would get away with it. That's why he
I
did
don't
it with
think it's that. I
impunity
think
out
this
in
is not
public.
wrong thinking. He's not. I think it's ego. The male ego is the worst thing in the world. He didn't like them telling him, firstly, a little bit of dissent shown in the beginning by Floyd,
Hmm.
and then people telling him what to do. He wanted to show that he's the boss, and that's what happened. Intent is not to murder, but intent was there to teach a lesson to the person below him and subjugating him to his power and to the crowd that I'm a cop and I'm in the right. And it's all the male ego thing. I think that's the psychology that I get out of it. I've watched the video a few times. What do you think, Amit?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's just basically this you don't fear consequences, which is one part of it, right?
You
And the
don't
other
think of
part
them
of
really.
you don't think of them because you have no fear for them. You don't think
Yeah.
that any of them are ever going to come and apply to you, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big part of it. And then I think the other part of it is, as you're saying, right, that it's just this sense that you can't tell
Teach
me
him a
what to
lesson.
do.
Yeah.
I do what I want to do.
Correct.
Nobody tells me what to do, right? And that's just it's a toxic thing. It's what we see over here in India, right? Why do cops feel like they can go around hitting people with sticks?
Correct.
You can't tell me what to do. You do what the fuck I tell you to do.
Yeah, and the moment you have a conversation with them, which of course obviously is not always polite, their reaction is very aggressive, which is
Yes.
what your ego is stoked, nothing else. Because the argument over the law goes out of the window, and the argument is now actually about how dare you speak to me in a
Yeah.
manner in which you're not showing enough respect,
You
and
don't tell
therein
me what to do. Yeah.
exactly. Uh, we are preaching to the choir. What's the point of three of us talking?
That
Me and Silvery, we've been treated so badly.
hmm. That's interesting. So Lord Janice said that Harlan Coben is his favorite. So I would tell him he's talking about an author, a crime
We know
novel
we
author.
figured that out. We're not that bad. Unput to hai, but we can
So
figure out.
So he wrote. So Harlan Coben had this series called Myron Bolitar, which was really really good. Myron Bolitar was a sports agent. And he became solving crimes and stuff like that while being a sports agent. Really fun, really interesting stuff. So those were really good. But then after that, he became like this emo writer. I'm just addressing Lars's comment.
No, you must.
Yes.
You must. We haven't had a crime novelist on the show, I don't think. Nearly 600
We
odd
should
episodes.
actually,
We should have,
haven't
yeah.
we? We
No,
should, yeah.
yeah, that's why I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 95% sure. I don't
Yeah, I
think.
don't think we
No, 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 no,
have.
no. Yeah.
I don't think we have. We've had a lot of the
I mean,
mythology and general
yeah,
fiction,
but
right?
that because in India that's working.
Yeah.
So and that's like live working right now. So we've had three or four authors of that genre. But considering and again going back to our lives back in the day, crime novels were number one.
That was the
You look
thing.
at
Yeah.
Nancy.
Sherlock Holmes is the biggest.
Well, Sherlock Holmes started it all, but you
Yeah.
look at all the Caroline Keene, Nancy
Mhm.
Drew, and
Of
Hardy
course,
Boys, and
Hardy
Five
Boys,
Hardy
Found
Boy,
Outers. This is
Famous
90s
Five,
stuff.
Seven,
All that. So
Secret
Secret
Seven.
Seven.
and
Yeah.
then and then
Did
and then you're Robert
you?
Ludlum, and you graduate to the more hardy things.
What are your thoughts on the Enid Blyton stuff that's going
Oh, the
on? Right? I mean,
I've
racism thing.
yeah, it started up
But
again, right?
Oh
yeah, but
yeah.
you can't.
Oh.
It is racist. If you look at it from this point of view. We discuss mind your language. I
Mhm.
love mind your language. But if you look at it, it's politically incorrect.
It's very
And against
incorrect. Yeah.
Indians and Pakistanis and all. I mean, and religious bigotry if you want. You
Yeah.
just listen to the track again and how they talk to each other.
Mhm.
So I'm saying you can't compare eras and all that. So guilty,
Well,
yes.
what's too far, right? That's the question, right? So there was a very interesting.
Gollywog and all that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
horrible when you think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you can't condone that shit?
But
But
then, so Veer Sanghvi had an article that he had written about this stuff recently, right? Which is, and his point was that these toys were available till like 1965, and she wrote about it in Toyland. So there's this, but at the same time, there's definitely some other stuff
in the
there, which
British
is,
ethos, it was not considered at the point of writing
yeah,
as politically incorrect. 40 years later, it's clearly politically incorrect. So you can't punish her for what was not a crime then. You're asking too much to expect someone to be ahead of their times in such a way
Mm.
that their sensitivity is to such a level that they're able to understand. So looking at it in perspective from our age group and all, I mean, yeah, clear.
But the question, which was the interesting question, right, that I think that was in the Veer Sanghvi article was, uh, is Enid Blyton then, is it still appropriate for children though? That is the
That's
question,
another
right?
question that I can't answer
Right.
because I mean, I've discussed this with my daughter who was reading it
Hmm,
as well, and
hmm,
because now the internet and all the comments and also they're all very well aware. More of
hmm.
that is there than anything else. This is anti-black. This is anti-this. This is anti-fat. Um, yeah, but I don't know, man, because that's my fear about political correctness. At the risk of living and dying by it,
Hmm.
then no art will prevail because
I
everything will have.
agree. I agree. I mean, like it's a hard question though, right? Because
Yeah,
again, like even Mark Twain, right? I mean, like is
yeah,
unabridged Mark Twain appropriate for children? And in
yeah. The
2021,
N word and everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, right.
And but then he's reflecting the times. If you're playing devil's
He is.
advocate,
Yeah, and
and
Mark Twain was very anti-slavery. I mean, like his own personal views were
and
very much
Huckleberry Finn has a,
anti-slavery.
central black character to it.
Yeah, yeah,
So for what it's worth, it's not like, but he's not lying about the situation,
yeah.
the role the guy is
It's
playing,
again,
the
I mean,
words
like
that will be used.
I think both of us are very clearly on the side of books should not be censored for adults, right? The
Yeah.
question though is like because again so there was a so Cornell West, right, the philosophy professor from Princeton.
Hmm.
He had a Washington Post editorial a couple of days ago. So Harvard University has basically which is a historically black college, one of the most well known and best historically black colleges. They have removed studies of the classics, Socrates, Aeneid, all like the classics. They've removed it as its own department. It's now part of other different departments. It used to be its own department. And he had a point around that I mean, like this is the stuff that kind of gets people's minds thinking about the world and the way the world works. But at the same time, yeah, okay, it might not be that these are these need to be read critically now. They can't be read unironically
Their
or
relevance can't be
uncritically.
undermined, but they have to come with a statutory warning in a
Yeah,
sense. It's damn tough to answer all this, bro, because the fault of those people, I always believe in intent. If the intent was not like they lived in a world where racism was just rampant, it didn't occur to anyone that it was wrong. So it's difficult to, I'm not condoning it ever. I'm just saying is, you can't just, it's like saying that Genghis Khan slaughtered everybody in the village to stop the second village from getting hurt, because those were the times. That's how they did it. They didn't
right.
really send three guys out and say, let's have a conversation, let's share the spoils. It doesn't work that. It's tough, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know.
No, I mean, like you
But
have
be
to
careful
account for
because you will
times.
you will destroy. You're talking names like Socrates and all. There's there's a lot of stuff there. You can't just turn your back to it.
Yeah.
In the guise of political correctness. But you should be aware. You should not because you don't want to be brainwashed either.
Yeah, exactly. It's really the question's gotten a lot more interesting to me once you start examining it from the lens. Once you remove the idea of banning from it altogether, right? Because banning is for me a reflexively non-starter, right? You say that you want to ban a book, I'm like, fuck you, you can't ban a book, right? I mean, like it's a non-starter intellectually for me that when you talk about banning. But when you start talking about things about this in a more kind of nuanced way, then I mean, like, yeah, you start thinking
You
about
also
this that
become
hey,
worse than the point you're trying to make.
yeah,
The point you're trying to make, whether racism or infanticide or feminism, anti-sexism or whatever,
mm,
that point gets lost because your aggression to it is so unbridled.
mm,
That ban it. That's it.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
agreed. Mm,
Should
Anyway,
we get
we're
to the
running
yes,
out of
AMAs now?
time. I have to get
yes.
into makeup, wear my
Let,
sari. So 3 minutes, quickly, guys.
Yep.
let's do
Okay.
a
All
couple of
right.
AMS quickly.
The first one comes in from Bigfoot Specials. He says, "What are your thoughts on your Bollywood friends buzzing off to the Maldives after requesting people not to go
Shobha,
outside?"
Shobha, they wrote a very interesting comment, but I don't like to judge people so much. I don't know whether we should sit down and say that I have to, the collective sensitivity of whatever. But what you shouldn't do is make a show of it,
Mm,
because that's not good. When people are feeling a sense of anxiety and paranoia and suffering, that's a little bit arrogant and perhaps wrong. But I don't think we should sit and judge people. Everybody deals with things differently. If you're able to go to Maldives, go to Maldives. I mean, that's your thing. It doesn't particularly bother me. Just don't flaunt it while somebody's lost their father or somebody's dying in a hospital. That's probably not good.
but
That's
is this
really
happening now
it's
or
hap-
was
it's
this happening in
it's
October,
no,
November,
Ricky Gervais
December?
did this whole thing, bro, about the last time round about Hollywood telling everybody how sick their lives were while lying in their mansions and swimming in their pools and
Right.
eating pizza from the cafe, etc., etc.
Hmm.
So so that whole elitist suffering being different from the others. You got to be careful where we are with all this.
No,
Um,
but
I
if
don't want to.
somebody is going to Maldives now, it's very different than somebody who went in like January, right?
No, they've gone now. They've gone now, and they're on the
Okay.
Insta, and the pictures are there, holding the
Then
kid
that's
up in
not
the
cool.
water. Won't take names and all that.
Okay.
So for a second, forgetting that other people are suffering. So perhaps brandishing that is an issue of
Yeah,
sensitivity.
that's not cool. That's not
That's
cool in
not
today's
cool,
time.
but in an egalitarian setup, I'm like, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. It's still
I
not
mean,
against
again, nobody should ban them from
anything.
doing it,
Exactly
but
that.
it's not cool.
It's not cool. Not going to say wow, well done, but you're right. Amit, you and me belong to another world here. We are too evolved. Yep,
All right.
really.
Next one comes from
Silvery, one day you'll understand. अब तो अंग्रेजी में है सब कुछ तो बाद में समझ लेना.
चलो ठीक है. Next question comes in from Gregory Sequeira. He says, hi Cyrus S team. Just saw the new SRK Vimal advertisement. He looked like he didn't want to endorse it. I think he did it because work has dried up for him in the last 1 year or so. Thoughts?
How can you say that? He's a money
Yeah,
making
he's
machine.
Shahrukh Khan, man.
He's got KKR in the 4 countries at the moment. I don't know. I haven't seen the ad, but I'm for sure. I mean, from Pierce Brosnan doing that ad for what was that ad that Pierce Brosnan did?
Pan
Chavan
Parag.
Pan
Panparag.
Parag ad.
Was it Pan Parag? It
Pan
was
Parag.
one of the Pan. It was not Pan
Pan
Parag. It was
Bahar.
one
Rajnikant
of.
Pan
tha.
Bahar.
It
Okay.
was one of those.
And he
Yeah.
didn't know what the product was.
Right.
So the people just, I mean, very often with huge celebrities like Shah Rukh or Pierce Brosnan, I think they'll have a few where they, what the hell am I doing here
Mm.
moments, so that
It's
could happen.
unlike us where we only promote brands which we truly believe in, like Red, and where
Oh,
people should go and fill out their
now that's
proper.
a better plug for cred
There you
than
go.
me reading like a moron from a wrong show and clearly not even understanding the prices. This was beautifully done. You only do the ad, just segue them in the correct. Because now, as the owner of cred, I'm like, yeah, well done, guys. Thank you for
Thank you.
that. Yeah, yeah. I don't know why Shahrukh should be on cred. It's a hip ad. What's that boy's name? Tanmay Bhatt behind it, from what I gather, and all that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's the kind of you watch Shahrukh in those pictures. Perhaps Vimal may not be his thing. Because you think of him as a very hip actor, as the desi foreign Indian audience actor of the last two generations. So a
Yeah.
bit sad. But I haven't seen the ad, so can't really comment. Quick,
Yeah.
last one, Silvery.
Yeah, sure. Next one comes in from Shubham PK. He says, I saw Cyrus Brocha and Cyrus Sahukar in a fantasy cricket ad. Does Cyrus play fantasy cricket? If yes, how good is he?
Saukar or me?
Both.
I don't know. I don't.
You.
I don't have the digital thing. I just no video games have ever interested me. I'm not that's Summit's thing. So I just can't. I just don't get into it. I don't. So having said that, they paid us, right? So I can say all this. But Saukar, on the other hand, could play it. He likes all these games, but he doesn't like sport. So he ends up playing what the 8-year-old boys play, those ones with tanks and strange people jumping over each other in strange garbs and ninja movement and blowing up things and all. He plays those games. I've seen him. I've had to listen to them. Not so much the sports, not the FIFA and what my son plays and stuff. But this is taking Fantasy 11, Dream 11 is really caught on. Huh? You'll be surprised. I would say in lower market echelons of Indian society, huge. There's that 1 crore dangling on the thing, and it's always a subject Indians love to discuss. Your squad, my squad, best squad. We do that naturally. All types of sports lovers in India. So I think it's a
No, people are
super
huge
project.
with this. This space is
Huge, yeah.
getting huge, bigger and bigger.
We should do it with a podcast, no? Who are
Yeah,
your favorite podcasters? Let's Dream 11 podcasters. See,
interesting idea.
we don't make that. Back to selling cred. Huh? Back to selling cred. Good segue.
No, no, we should sell cred all the time. Cred is the best.
Yeah.
There was a
Especially if
great
you're on
comment
habit
about.
coach. Huh.
There was a great comment about cred
Huh.
going. I'm forgetting who wrote it right now. I read it. It said, hate all other ads on during the IPL except for the cred ads. They're the only ones that are good.
Yeah. Kumar
And
Sanu
yeah,
was also quite cute. He hasn't got, I think Rahul Dravid just become too big an ad and then they release it maybe too soon. But if you guys have seen it, it's really, because I'm just thinking, it's not so far from reality. If you're, as a singer, COVID, this, that, your work is not drying up. I mean, why not become a salesman and use your power of message, through song? So it's not fully out of the fantasy. For a minute, I was like, ouch, what are we going to do as artists if work was to dry up? You do what you have a certain capacity to do things, so you want to use that. So we're doing stand up to, make a point with a washing machine that he's brought to the doorstep of a middle class, 40-year-old woman. And you do your 3 gags on, you put your hand in, your hand comes out clean, whatever. It's something stupid like that. Yeah, Siri, don't say no. We don't know what the world's got in store for us. We have to pay bills. Pay through cred. Ah!
yeah,
Ah!
Well
देखा
done.
master कौन है?
Well done.
nice.
Okay, guys, can I go?
Yep, I think we're good.
All right. So we'll see you
All right.
tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Have a